Welcome. In front of me I have the XIAOMI 17T, and in this video I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the phone, its specifications, build quality, and just give you my general thoughts and opinions as I go along. Okay, so let's just get straight into this, and I'd like to get straight into this by quickly mentioning that I am in no way sponsored by XIAOMI or any other company, so what I'm saying here is just strictly my own personal opinions, and they are completely uninfluenced by anything else. So, inside of the box we get a charging cable type A to type C, a case along with a European Union mandated energy rating sticker, which says that we get about 65.5 hours of battery life on here. And the case is gray matte finish, which I really like, as the silicone cases that are like clear ones tend to get this nasty yellow tint, so this one shouldn't be affected by this. And then get the phone with some little moisture absorbing crap inside of there, but that phone is the most important thing, so there we go. Looking pretty nice, though it looks like it's borrowing a little bit of the style from iPhones. Well, there's a bit more kind of rounded corners. Anyway, let's just wait for it to boot up. And there we go. So now we can get to see the very small bezels all around, as well as the entire screen. So this is a 6.59 inches in size, which is in the middle of, like, you know, between the small devices and the big ones, which for a lot of people this might be actually a sweet spot. Now the resolution on this device, or this display more like, is 1268 by 2756, which is pretty damn good. It's close to 1440p, which honestly pretty nice. AMOLED display, 68 billion colors, 120 Hz refresh rate, 3840 Hz pull rate, Dolby Vision certified, HDR10 Plus certified, and a peak brightness of 3500 nits, and a 3500 nits of unbullshitty brightness. As manufacturers started doing this, like, oh, we have 8000 nits of brightness, and yeah, sure, if you like zap it with massive amounts of electricity, overdrive it till it basically pops, and you manage to keep it for a single second. Cool, that's your 8000 nits. Yeah, sure. Now for usable kind of brightness, 3,500 nits might be less than what other manufacturers claim that to have, like 8000, but for outdoor usage in direct sunlight, that is well and enough of brightness, and it is peak brightness. So it's not some brightness that you're going to be able to turn on yourself. It only boosts up when there is a actual light happening onto the screen, and there we go. This just boosted up in brightness, as you can clearly see, and it should lower down on itself. There we go. So it just went down. So yeah, that's usually where you get that full 3500 nits of peak brightness. Now, let me quickly go through the setup and see what are we dealing with the camera. And we're basically done. Just come on, finish it up. You're almost there. Okay, so while this is preparing system, let's flip it to the other side, and here you can see we have a dual camera setup. Don't be fooled by the third one, that is just a dud. It's an aesthetic piece of garbage that serves no purpose other than to confuse people into thinking that the phone has quadruple camera setup instead of a triple one. I don't like that logic. I hate when manufacturers add something for the sake of tricking users. In reality, flash could have been moved right here, and at that point with the white little flash in there, you'd be able to clearly tell that it's not a camera, and it would still retain that BS quadruple kind of look to it, but obviously that wouldn't serve the purpose of trying to trick people into thinking that there's more than there actually is. Now, talking about those cameras, we have dual 50 megapixel sensors, one being f1.7 23mm wide lens, and the other one being f3.0 150mm periscope telephoto. So I think this is the 50, and this is the periscope, and then this one on the other side, yeah, this one here would be a 12 megapixel f2.2 50mm ultra wide. Now with those cameras you can do 4K at 60 frames and 1080p up to a whopping 960 frames of slow motion. And we can just boot it up. Sure, while using the app, cool. Can I just get to the app? Come on, just let me use it. There we go. So if we go into videos, you can see 1080p 30, 60, 4K 60, 30. Now for what I was saying, the 900 and something, we would need to go into, where the hell is it? Fast shot? No, that's not it. Oh, there we go, slow motion. Wow, I'm just stupid. So you can see right here, at 720p we're getting to 960, 1080p also 960, which will give you this like insanely buttery smooth, super slow motion shots. But anyway, let's move on to the Selfie, and the Selfie right here is a 32 megapixel wide sensor that does 4K 30 and 1080p up to 60. So it's pretty good, though probably would have been nicer if it does 4K 60, but you know, I'm not gonna be that picky right here, though considering the price maybe I should be. Anyway, if we now look at the internals of this device, in here we got a 6,500 milliamp hour battery, which can be charged at 67 watts, which is pretty good. We also have 12 gigabytes of RAM, which at current times, that is like gold basically, and 256 gigabytes of built-in storage at the lowest end, and half a terabyte at the highest end. So there's only two variants of it. And both of these options using UFS 4.1 storage types, which will help you quickly read and write footages, for instance, of like your 4K videos at 60 frames. Now, in terms of the processor powering this, it's a Dimensity 8500 Ultra, which is a pretty damn good processor. Not the best one you can get, specifically out at this price, I think, for Xiaomi devices, but it's also a pretty damn good processor. I'm not gonna harp on that, but the price just doesn't kind of represent this, if I remember correctly. Let me actually quickly check this out. Hello, phone, not phone, computer. There we go. Okay, so I opened a bunch of them and I want to quickly check the prices. Okay, this is one. Okay, so what I was doing right now is just checking another Xiaomi device specifically, or actually four specifically, but as I find those four to be the gold standard of what you like value for money, so what you get for your cash. And this one isn't necessarily it, but I'm gonna get to that more in depth at the end. Now continue on with this one. Let's now talk about the build quality, which is pretty nice. We have a Corning Gorilla Glass 7i at the front with a pre-applied screen protector. We have a plastic. Wait, that is a plastic frame? What? No way. Yep, that is a plastic frame, surprisingly. Which, let me actually double check it with, where is it? Where did I dump my, oh, there we go. There's the sim eject tool. I want to pop it out, and usually this, yep, that is plastic. So it's a little bit crappy. So we have a plastic frame right here, glass fiber reinforced plastic back as well. though it does have a more of a glassy look to it. Now, in terms of the tray that I did pop out, we have dual SIM card support, no expandable storage. So if you need more than that half a terabyte or 256 that you bought, too bad. So other than that, on that plastic frame, we have our volume rockers along with a power button. At the top, we get, well, absolutely nothing. Then on the left side, we also get absolutely nothing. And at the bottom, we got that tray. We got Type-C charging port and speaker grills. And that's basically everything that there is to this device. Last thing that there is to this device is that price that I mentioned. And that price, at least where I'm from, is, if I can select the both, there we go, is about... Let's check it directly on Xiaomi's website. Where the hell is the buy now? Oh, there we go. It's nearly 3,000 PLN. So, actually not. It's basically 3,000. So, and that equates to $820. Wow, that is not a cheap phone. So, with that in mind, this phone is about 820. Now that is including tax, I should mention, as I don't think that's prices usually don't have tax in US. So you get a solid phone. I'm not gonna deny that, but you can get a better one. Now you might need to sacrifice some things for that better device, but you get some other things in exchange. So there's multiple different options at the different price points, and quickly actually checking them out in terms of exact price, we have so, oh wow, the F8 Ultra isn't actually, it's actually cheaper. Oh, that's interesting. So you know what, I'm gonna just say we have one option. Considering it's still cheaper than this, at least where I'm from, and offers significantly more than what we get right here, this is a very, very solid option that I think you potentially should look at. In terms of everything, it's actually better. Like, I don't really see what would make it worse. Potentially maybe the fact that it's, I believe, not Leica branded, if you care for that. So I don't think it has a Leica branding for cameras like this one does. As you can see, we have a Leica branding. So if you don't care for that, photos will basically probably look identical, though I haven't ever tested this out. So in this case, you have a Poco F8 Ultra. Now, contrary to what you might believe with the brand Poco, like the sub-brand of theirs, which traditionally was lower end, this device is all but lower end. So it improves honestly at everything. It has 6.9 inches in size display, nice. Same battery, but it can be charged at 100 watts and 50 wirelessly, so that's already a leg up. It comes with 12 gigabytes up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, powered by a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which is the newest, highest end, which is better than what we have right here by a decent margin. We have glass, obviously front aluminum frame, and also plastic back or eco leather back, or more like, I think the back is more like a rubber one, which the blue one is basically like a rubberized denim imitation. So if you're not into that, which personally I wasn't, maybe look for the black one that is just black plastic back. In terms of cameras, you're looking at a triple 50 megapixels wide periscope, ultra wide, and does 8K 30, 4K 60. And also selfie is 32 megapixels wide, 4K 30, 1080p 60. So in terms of cameras, you actually get better camera setup as you get a triple 50 at the back. So that ultra wide has a higher pixel count. You have a faster processor, better charging, better built device. And in my opinion, that would be a much better option, which comes cheaper than what we have right here. Which I can't fathom how is this even a thing, considering both of these are Xiaomi devices. Both of them have been released very close to each other, and yet one is vastly superior over the other while costing less. So there is no real advantage to go for this one unless that Leica branding for your camera really means this much to you. Now, funnily enough, you can even get a cheaper device that basically still performs as well as this one, and you do have the two different options, the X8 Pro Max and Pro, and also the F8 Pro. These are all cheaper phones than what we have right here. The F8 Pro would be still faster than what we have right here, retaining a lot of the features of the Ultra version of that F8, but it's going to be smaller. While the Poco X8 Pro Max and Pro are more in line with what we have right here. So specifically, the Pro Max, I believe, runs the same kind of processor. Let me just double check it. Pro Max. No, sorry, the Pro Max actually runs even faster processor than what right here. So the Pro only runs that Dimensity 8500 Ultra, comes with 8 to 12 gigs of RAM, 6500 battery, 100 watts charging, and it does sacrifice on cameras. So you get a much cheaper device, but you sacrifice cameras. If that is something that you don't want to sacrifice, then you could look at the, like I said, the F8 Pro and Pro Max instead of the X8. Sorry, Ultra. I meant Ultra. While the X8 Pro and Pro Max have crappier cameras, but also much lower price point. So these would be great options in terms of comparing it to specifically this one. Not really sure if I'm missing something here, why the device is this much more expensive over the same brand's phones that do have better build qualities and better specifications over this one, and the only thing that they lack is that Leica certification. So if there is more, I don't know, but on paper, from what I can tell, the X and F lineup, specifically the X8, F8, is going to be better. I would probably cater more towards that Ultra one, so F8 Ultra, as that is going to have better cameras than what we have right here, while also having everything better, while also costing less. So in my opinion, that is a well worth trade-off, because you're not trading off anything, you're just getting more for less. So that's what I would probably recommend getting, if obviously you have an option. If you don't, well, and like I was mentioning before, this is still a pretty good device. Now anyway, with that being said, I hope you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.